Recently, I had the opportunity to visit a farm in Banigala, on the outskirts of Islamabad. But this was no regular farm. This was a farm enabled by hydroponics. The solutions of tomorrow. Pakistan is facing acute shortages of water and increasingly unpredictable weather. Hydroponics is often lauded as the macro solution or one of the big solutions. But is it really that applicable? Pakistan's agriculture is already under pressure. Water shortages, climate change, and urban sprawl have made farming very hard to predict. Hydroponics is pitched as the answer internationally. But how does that play out locally? Good afternoon. My name is Abdul Raafey, and we are here at HydroGrow, a hydroponics farm in Islamabad which has been growing tomatoes for over a year. With no soil, no tractors, we want to see how it's truly done and is this business sustainable. Now, we're joined here by Taimur Bhai, who will take us inside and show his farm, and he is the co-founder of this amazing venture. After you. Pakistan, being a water-stressed nation, being a nation which is dealing with an over-engineered river system that has been the lifeline for this land for 2,000 or more years. How do we combat these climatic issues and these water issues that have taken root on a macro level in Pakistan?
So what's happened in the past, let's say a decade, due to climate change, what started happening is start forming very microclimatic zones.
Okay.
Climate has gone erratic.
Okay.
So all climatic forecasting models have become sort of irrelevant. Right? So microclimates बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गए हैं. So what's happening is when you don't have good forecasts, the farmer needs protection. So you need controlled environment.
Okay. Is this the silver bullet or just a niche urban luxury? So I get the feeling that the trial and error, which kind of has led to you guys perfecting the way you want to grow things in this structure, has really led you to be pioneers in this space. Because when you went out there, as we were talking earlier, you didn't find many practical players in this market.
Exactly.
So how has that transition been for you and all the mistakes that you now know not to make?
Yeah, so we started literally from scratch.
Okay.
We started reading articles, we started reading books, we took online courses, then we did a diploma at Arad University over here in Impending. And from there, while we were doing a diploma, we started building this little place over here.
Okay.
So this is a unit alpha.
Okay.
Or this is completely for R&D. So this is where we test. We basically wanted to experiment and hone our own techniques. How we will be growing it, because we had read about it, but there was no one who was doing it practically over here.
All right.
So we had to do it from scratch. So this is a testament to everything we've done, we've learned, and what we should do. So if it was me, the height of this structure would be double this.
As we were talking about it. Hydroponic vegetables are often marketed as a premium product. At what point does that change? When does this become affordable enough for the average consumer and not just a niche urban market?
Yeah, so what's been happening is, so I'll take it from the start. So when we had our first yield of cucumbers last year, early last year, so what happened was we just sold it at the farm gate.
Okay.
And till date, people are coming to us, we need those cucumbers.
Okay.
Please grow those cucumbers.
All right.
So like right now we only have tomatoes and we have some ginger, but otherwise they're coming back for it.
Okay.
People came, they came to visit inside. They were like, we haven't had cucumbers like this ever, so we want to have more of this. So, but because we have a limitation of space, so, and those two crops, tomatoes and cucumbers, can't grow together.
All right.
So that's why right now we have expansion plans, and then other people, we've been on social media, on LinkedIn, watching our success and our progress. Corporations, private farmers, large farmers, they're contacting us, they came to visit us. Now we're in talks with them on different various farmers and corporations to set up hydroponics, commercial hydroponic units for them and operate it.
So if demand isn't the obstacle, what is? Where is the real bottleneck to profitability?
Okay, so right now, the things that we have here, maybe 50% or more of them are imported.
Yeah.
For example, coconut husk. This is imported from Sri Lanka. Seeds, some of the seeds are imported. Dutch companies and maybe some other companies. So this plastic, this is a big part of it. This is imported.
Yeah.
Right? So everything can be made over here. These irrigation pipes used to come from abroad. Now, the industry has started making it here because drip irrigation is becoming more common in the past 5 years.
Okay.
So it's the same pipe.
Yes.
It's the same aspect to it.
Okay.
So we are localizing this, and there are many other blocking profiles that we need. These fans used to be imported.
Okay.
Now, because of the poultry industry, these fans are being manufactured in Gujarat.
Hydroponics is constantly praised for saving water. Is that reputation earned? Or does the industry oversell its role in solving Pakistan's much bigger water crisis?
And on top of that, we're using 90% less water to grow the same crop they grow in land. So, I mean, it's drip irrigation. Fertilizer use is down by 70%.
Yes.
So the chemical fertilizer use, so if you cost 100 kgs of urea on the open land, only 17 kgs is took by the plant.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? So that's also a maximum efficiency.
So we're saying that the nutrients we give in the soil in traditional farming only have a minimum or under 20% nutrient deposit into the plant, which leads to the plant's growth that you require.
And the rest of it is polluting the land, polluting the waterways.
Exactly.
It's runoff, it's polluting our rivers and everything.
Okay,
so
okay.
Over here, our nutrient uptake is upwards of 85%.
Okay, perfect. And with the nutrient uptake being 85%, that of course means you're saving X amount of water, or maybe a percentage of water that you wouldn't if you did traditional farming.
Yeah.
Could you put a number to that?
So, maybe in percentages, anywhere from depending on what crop and what season you are in. But if you take a whole life cycle of a crop, you can very safely say you're saving 80% water.
Okay, very nice. So you're saving 80% water and you're still getting better yields than traditional farming.
Yes, we're getting 4x or 5x of yield. So for example, this very plant that we're standing here, you can look at the bunching.
Exactly. Right? It's amazing.
So it's 12 feet high. Tomato plant in open field is about 3 feet high.
It's very small.
It's very small, gives the maximum yield of 4 to 5 kgs in ideal conditions.
Bilkul.
So over here, we've already taken out 12 kgs per plant, and now we're still going up there.
All right. Hydroponics in Pakistan still relies heavily on imported nutrients, equipment, and technology. How exposed is a farm like this to currency swings and import restrictions? What's realistically fixable and what can actually be made in Pakistan? Pakistan has no shortage of small pilot projects. Very few make the leap to the commercial scale. What would it take for a hydroponics farm to go from a handful of urban settlements to something that actually matters for the country's food supply. So if a big investor comes in tomorrow, are bigger farms, franchising, or existing partners the one they deal with? I am here again at Hydro Farm with our co-founder, Hashir Khwaja. Hashir has over 12 years of experience in traditional, progressive, and hydroponic agriculture. We were just visiting his alpha setup with his co-founder, Taimur, and now we have a bit of a sit-down over here with Hashir, and we're going to continue the amazing conversations we've been having all afternoon, and we're just going to take it from where we left off. So Hashir, would you love to introduce yourself to the audience and maybe let us know how you came by this project?
So Hashir Khwaja, like you just mentioned, I've been doing what I'm doing for the past 12 years, and it's been one hell of a ride because these 12 years have been a lot of learning towards what nots of agriculture, based on a lot of variable conditions and circumstances on a national level for the sake of conversation. And well, we're here now. We've upgraded from basic sustainable organic practices that we were doing about 10-12 years ago, and now we're doing hydroponics because this seems like the way to go with all the problems we faced over the past decade or so. And if I may, this gives me enough leverage, empowers me enough to sustain through the year and through the recurring years post-development of a certain size of a unit.
Okay.
It protects me from all the problems we faced, again, over the past decade between weather, water issues, soil health, in terms of the organic matter, like we mentioned before. This technology helps us counter all those problems, essentially speaking. It extends the life of our crop, it improves the quality of our produce substantially. We've evolved quite a lot. We were sitting right now, this was all plantation. We had all seasonal vegetables, all organic practices. We had a couple of large animals so we could produce our own fertilizer. We were producing our own vermicompost. We were doing chickens for meat and eggs, and of course, because chickens don't leave your vegetables, they're really sweet and yummy for these birds. We made those makeshift basic chicken tractors where our chicken would be in and around the vegetables but not affect them in a way where we won't be able to put them out on a shelf for sale to our clients.
Okay.
The past 10 years were tough because of availability. Okay, so let me list it down.
Yeah, definitely.
The amount of information that was out there readily available for a successful, let's call it business for the sake of this conversation, was not adequate. The type of skilled resource one would require to successfully execute such a plan in terms of agriculture is concerned was not available, which is why we spent the past decade into reinforcing ourselves with more knowledge, more education, and 10 years, 12 years down the line, this is where we are because weather was a problem for us, water was a problem for us, soil health was a problem for us, and to top it all off, since our crops are now far more extended on the timeline compared to the conventional crop. We, I believe, have a better access to a more stable rate in terms of sales and revenue in the market. Just because we're producing for longer stretches. Our costs are fixed in terms of production. They don't fluctuate, they don't go much high, they don't go much low, which means we can essentially speaking, sell at a fixed price through the year or through the life of the crop itself.
So Hashir, this achievement has actually begs the question, can a water-stressed country like Pakistan, a produce maybe insecure country like Pakistan, have a national hydroponics outlook?
Absolutely.
How?
It's a lot of work. I'm going to be honest with you. It's
Please.
not going to be an easy job. It's a lot of work. And like we discussed before, it's not only about setting it up, the business here, because we'll talk about business. This is not only about setting it up and growing a bunch of tomatoes and cucumbers. This, in our opinion, in our humble opinion, is essentially speaking an industry in the making, where every element of this technology has potential of being locally developed for the sake of a better cost in terms of deploying any such unit in the future is concerned. Right now, the cost of deployment turns to become one of the biggest barriers to entry. Right after the shortage of the right type of skilled labor that we would require to operate such a thing, the right way.
So you became that skilled labor.
That's exactly what we did. Because unless we don't know how to do it ourselves, we can't get it done by whoever. And while we were out there trying to mark up and polish our skills a bit more, what we realized was the information readily available within the country right now is either obsolete or the people teaching that information to us are very good as far as theory is concerned.
All right.
When you apply the theory practically on ground, all hell breaks loose because nothing goes the way you've read it in the book. Climate change and other factors around the country have spinned everything so dramatically that every single day we have to recalculate and reassess every decision that we have to make in terms of production or sales of that specific producer is concerned.
So that kind of leads me to that second point we were talking about. So many people like yourself thought about investing in hydroponics, but it didn't pan out as successfully as your venture has. So what were those reasons where maybe the investment was there, the intent was there, but it didn't go as planned?
Okay, so, and please forgive me for potentially stepping on a couple of toes over there, but since we've been doing this practically for a decent amount of time now, over a year now, specifically hydroponics, and what we've seen so far, there are people who've tried to develop some decent sized facilities in the country. The problem is, the problem that we're trying to counter over here is we specifically design and deploy these units based on the specific regional climatic requirements of the location in question.
Microclimates.
To counter these microclimates.
Okay.
For example, you go up north, your weather's cold.
Yes.
We need to focus on heating in the unit.
Yes.
You go down south, you've got higher humidities, you've got higher wind factors. We need to focus on the structure of the unit. You stay towards the central line of Pakistan, you've got very high temperature gradients over there.
All right.
We need to focus on our cooling units. We need to focus on the general design aspect of the unit entirely, to the point where we have to calculate the distance between our cooling pads and our cooling fans, the cooling mechanism of the system, based on where we're going to be deploying it.
Understood.
So for us, every unit is a custom unit.
Understood.
We do not replicate. We cannot replicate. Do not is not the question over here. We cannot replicate the same thing over and over again. So coming back to where you started off with this question, I very honestly believe the reason why this has not successfully been executed in the country is because these units were basically copied and pasted over here
Without studying the
regional requirement of what we need to build, how we need to build it, and what is the purpose of the entire consideration. Why are we doing what we're doing?
All right, so we see that with skilled labor, we also need a learning curve attached to each location of hydroponics that would be ventured out by anyone.
And we realized that. We realized a little while back that unless we're there to train these people ourselves into efficiently operating these units, it's going to be longer than we want it to be.
Understood.
But this is the only way to go.
Understood.
We're losing land by the day. And when I say we're losing land by the day, I'm sure you understand what I mean. The soil health is going down the gutters at the speed of light for farmers like us. And if my soil is not as healthy as I would want it to be, even if I want it to be bookish good, it will take me a number of years, at least half a decade of no commercial plantation and just soil health regeneration. That does not serve the purpose. People over here, most of your labor class is working in the agricultural sector. You can't have them wait for the next 5 years for your soil to be as healthy as you would want it to be. And when you talk about moving this production line in areas where the soil is still in the virgin category, are we also talking about moving the entire supporting mechanism to those units? Your input provision providers, your machinery providers, your buyers, your mandis. Are we also going to move the entire ecosystem to these production areas? I don't think that's possible. In the shorter run, maybe in the next 20-30 years, yes. But do you think we have that much time?
So as I'm listening to you, I understand that with skilled labor, with trainings and a policy framework that is long-term thought out by the governmental bodies, whether they be provincial or federal, has to be implemented if we want successful ventures like yourselves.
The government needs to step in, guns blazing, facilitate these farmers in terms of subsidies and other inputs. And I believe this is the only way to go to bring our production graph back to where it needs to be to cover our population. And then, of course, since our quality of the produce is way up there, we can also focus on exports.
Understood. And when we kind of come back to the business aspect of hydroponics, where did you see a break-even point where you're like, okay, this is a commercially viable business? And let's take it from the point you started.
The first 60 days of our unit, the trial unit over here that you just saw,
Alpha,
were defining for us. They are what told us that this is the way to go. The moment we were done harvesting 3+ tons of cucumbers on our first trial crop in a span of 60-65 days, it had answered all our questions.
Understood.
It had told us how we're going to increase the per square foot yield that we need to increase to make this certain amount of land profitable.
Understood.
I mean, rather than me developing another 100 acres next to my current acre, 100 acres, I would rather spend money on that current 100 acres and increase my yield.
Exactly. So this concept of vertical farming or this concept of maximizing your acreage is present throughout all progressive farming practices. A small thing which I'm sure you know is Netherlands is a country that is suppose like 18 times smaller than us, yet produces
the second highest exporter in the world.
Produces 11 times more agricultural output than us, which is Pakistan, a country where 40% of the labor force is directly or indirectly
And we're talking
involved.
about a country that claimed most of its land from the ocean.
Exactly.
It wasn't entirely land.
It was riverbanks and...
So it's a big lesson for us.
All right, understood. And when we talk about maybe how you have accessed this information, we also get a general sense of, let's say, agricultural business culture in Pakistan. Until something isn't done and they don't see it with their eyes, the success, they don't believe it can be done.
They don't believe it, and it's a very big problem.
And please talk to me more about that through the venture you've had.
Okay, so for me to talk on this, it's not only about hydroponics, right?
Yes.
It's the entire span of my agricultural career. Let's call it a career for the sake of a conversation. Again, I keep using the same phrase again. Cultural dynamic over here is terrible. And it's not, okay, so it's a broad, this cultural dynamic is not only relevant to agriculture right now, right? So being a little educated.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
You talk about, let's say, one thing that everybody is very happy-go-lucky doing is construction in Pakistan.
Real estate.
Real estate. When you go build a house and you tell your mason to mix your mixture in a certain way, he's not going to do it.
No, he isn't.
And when you ask him why he's not going to do it, his answer, and this answer is going to be consistent with your farmers and your telco guys and your mechanics and your constructors. My grandfather did this. My father did this. What are you talking about? Same happens in agriculture.
But in agriculture, is it more intense? Because I felt it's more intense.
It is more intense. I'll give you an example. One of my projects in central Punjab on 100 acres. 3 years was a fight in terms of trying to improve the soil health.
Yes.
So I could achieve a more resilient crop, a crop that can sustain towards the environment, be resilient towards certain amount of diseases. And when I was trying to enrich my soil, I had my neighbors come up to me and say, what are you doing? Just put in some urea and DAP, put 20 kgs extra, what are you doing? I'll get those big bloating onions and potatoes out of my ground. What sort of an impact will they have, number one, on your end consumer? How will they behave post-harvest all the way down to the farmer's table?
Yep.
What type of a life will it have when it is trying to resist all those stresses of the environment throughout the value chain?
Exactly. And then what will the impact on your soil when you are consistently putting
Not giving
in those
it a break.
chemicals? Exactly.
So over here, we don't have those constraints. We've got a neutral base.
Exactly.
We do not use any type of soil whatsoever. Every crop, we cleanse our substrate and we replant into the same soil.
Just bringing it back to the regional kind of situation we've had over the past 3 months, what costs had increased for your hydroponics business since this region conflict situation had taken hold and taken root? I think we talked a little bit about
We did talk about
so
it,
we
and
can just
you
continue.
pointed it out before I could point it out, and you were absolutely on point. All petroleum-based items have skyrocketed. All imported items have skyrocketed for that matter, but petroleum items, for example, plastic wrapping, the main element over here, the virus net, the insect net, the internal layer of this structure, they've all gone phenomenally high in terms of prices.
Yes.
Which is where I said what I said about a local industry potential where setting up these facilities may actually be beneficial for the entire country for that matter.
And something so small as the shelf caps that you were saying,
Yeah.
which could be made and not just widely produced in Pakistan, but widely produced for anyone wanting to build a setup like this, because you will have a consistent customer base.
You see, the material required for this, I believe, it is not only the local demand that we have potential of covering.
Yes.
The inputs required to set up this facility and the output in terms of the produce and the quality of the produce it has potential of being. Both these elements have potential of export.
Okay.
There's local aspects, there's local sales because there's a market in the development. People are now asking more questions, paying more attention to the do's and don'ts of agriculture, what is affecting them in a bad way, what is impacting in a good way. People are now understanding better. So it is not only the equipment required to set up these facilities that has potential for local production and export. Of course, the produce has also the same amount of potential. We can sell this premium produce throughout the nation, and when we reach a certain cap, we can export this.
So this
is absolute traceable produce,
Exactly.
which is a very major requirement as far as exporting units are concerned.
I think it was your co-founder Temur who said that this entire setup hits 3 main UN SDG goals.
Absolutely, yes.
Sustainability and development goals, which is something where we're going for carbon credits type of future. We are sequestering those carbon and offsetting that footprint that the human world has created. And even though it's not Pakistan's issue, because we produce 1% of the total emissions of the world, but we take in and we are being so harmed by the rest of the emissions produced because glacier melting is something which is a very unique problem to Pakistan.
It is a fact.
Exactly.
We're losing our glaciers in the north, we're losing our coastline in the south.
Yes.
You go to Gharo or you go to the delta, it is receding.
It is receding, exactly. Because the seawater has seeped into the river water.
There you go. And once you lose your glaciers, you won't have these rivers to push the sea out any further, which means you'll lose further land area like Thatta, for example.
Exactly.
It is right down there.
So the wave of problems are rising and they're coming at us at a faster pace, and we see hydroponics as like mangroves, the first line of defense, maybe in a litany of defenses that we would have to create to sustain this growing population of 260 million people in this country with an average age of 20 years old. So we need to teach, we need to sustain, and we need to bridge the urban to rural gap so that everyone who needs khurak, who needs to feed themselves every day, knows where they can get fed, knows how to be fed, and knows how to grow what they need to eat. Less water, less fertilizer waste, far higher yield. But still built on imported seeds, imported substrates, and imported plastic. Whether hydroponics becomes a real contributor to Pakistan's food supply or stays a high-value niche for the urban cities like Islamabad and Lahore may come down to how much of this supply chain can be built in Pakistan itself.